Approaching 29 after 8, let's remind you of our top stories on ANC on this Thursday morning. Police are on the hunt for those who shot and injured members of the police's anti-gang unit in the Samora Machel informal settlement in Cape Town. The area itself now is under lockdown for the next 72 hours. The South African Medical Association is describing the recent attacks on healthcare practitioners at public hospitals as a crisis. It says urgent and immediate action is now required. And Adam Katsavelos, whose viral racist rant made him famous recently, is due back in the Randburg Magistrates Court today. Well, those are the top stories at this hour. Now, the Social Justice Coalition says it warned police about the insufficient number of personnel allocated to the Samora Machel informal settlement in Cape Town. This is where members of the police's anti-gang units were shot yesterday. The coalition says there's simply not enough officers in places like Samora Machel informal settlement and the township of Nyanga. Well, for more on this and what they are asking government to do, we're joined by the Coalition Secretary General, Axolile Notywala. Mr. Notywala, good morning. Thank you very much for your time and patience in Cape Town. I've seen the statement that you've issued as the SJC, noting and saying that you are very saddened by the reports of the shooting of the 6 police of the anti-gang unit members. And you're making pretty clear what you'd like to see. Can you share with our viewers, what do you want to be done? What is this urgent attention and action you say is now required?
Thank you, Dan. These are issues or incidents which could have been prevented. I think the contribution to this incident is the failure of the South African police services at the national level, the leadership, the National Police Minister, the National Police Commissioner. The Khayelitsha Commission in 2014 released its report after that inquiry and had 20 recommendations, which were not just recommendations that could improve policing and safety in Khayelitsha, but that could improve policing and safety in the country as a whole. Up until today, almost 5 years later, none of those recommendations have been implemented. And one of those recommendations, which speaks to this issue of this incident that happened, is that the Commission found out that in South Africa, there aren't and there has never been policing guidelines, visible policing guidelines for informal settlements, meaning that millions of people in informal settlements do not benefit from the service of the South African police services. Also meaning that police are not trained to sufficiently police informal settlements. Hence, they are in danger when they go there. And these are the issues that we've been raising with the ministry for almost 5 years now. We had to take them to court for the issue of police resourcing. So those are the 2 issues that the police needs to deal with: visible policing guidelines for informal settlements and the redistribution of police resources. And the court judgment last year found that there's discrimination in how police resources are distributed, especially in poor black and colored communities.
Now, you are demanding an urgent meeting between all levels of government, that this meeting must be convened ASAP. Who would you want to see in that meeting, and what would you like the outcome to be?
We're saying this is an urgent matter. This must be treated as a crisis. If you're having almost 2,000 people being killed in almost 6 months in the province, that's a crisis. We want all levels of government, because they all have a responsibility to play. Even though we need guidelines for policing in informal settlements must be developed. But while those informal settlements are waiting to be developed, we need those guidelines. The city of Cape Town has a role to provide public lighting. The 2 areas with the highest murder rate in the country, the 2 townships, Nyanga and Khayelitsha, have in Cape Town the poor types of lighting. People are at risk, people are in danger at night, and police themselves have said that they are scared to go into these informal settlements which are poorly lit. And even this incident, the issue of poor lighting is a contribution to that. We're saying the province must come on board, because the province has oversight powers over both SAPS and over the city of Cape Town as well. And so they must sit and they put politics, their party politics aside, because what we've been seeing is the Premier blaming the National Police Minister and the National Police Minister retaliating. And it's a political blame game, and people continue to die every day. We want them to sit, we want them to commit to making sure that these issues are resolved. So
that will be the levels of government, as in the National Police Minister, the Police Commissioner, the provincial commissioners, as well as the Premier of the Western Cape, and people who are responsible for community safety. You want them to gather ASAP to find practical solutions, like supplying that lighting that you say is not there in some of the hotspots of crime in the Western Cape.
Yes, definitely. And we're also saying that policing in the province, as we've seen, is not intelligence-driven. And one of the people we need in that meeting is the head of crime intelligence in the country. There are gangs, there are syndicates that are working with impunity in these communities. And the reactionary approach of the South African Police Service is not helping. The fact that someone died and then you send 200 police officers, after that incident is gone, then those police go back. That's not intelligence-based policing. That's not evidence-based policing. Evidence-based policing means that you know where the hotspots are, and you use your intelligence and you distribute resources effectively where they are needed. And that's what we need. And so we need crime intelligence to make sure that they develop a proper strategy and a plan to make sure that these gangs and these syndicates are dealt with in the province.
That's Axolile Notywala. Thank you very much. The Secretary General of the Social Justice Coalition, not mincing their words, very clear about what they want. They are asking government at all levels to make sure that they deal effectively with violent crime in and around the Western Cape, following the shooting of the 6 members of the police's anti-gang unit.